what is so great about streaming? So if you could, this could be a thesis. You could write your doctoral thesis. But just tell me what is great about streaming. If you could list at least, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 things that you think what's been great about streaming for African film. Sorry. Any one of you can start. Sarah, why don't you go?
Sure. Yeah, I would like to say possibility, accessibility, and just the general kind of a wide reach. And we've seen this too during this time where we're all at home. I mean, these are the possibilities, right? That we can see more stuff. I've seen films by Paulin Vieira twice in this pandemic on streaming that I never caught at a festival before. So I would say that those are three aspects I would think of, but they all have caveats. So
well, hold the caveat for the next question. I wanted to start with the positive first. Tsogo?
I think another one is just like you said, access, because I think what streaming allows you to do is to pay a fixed fee for a wide variety of films. So you're not necessarily having to wait from films for like festivals or to pay like a specific fee for every time you go watch a film. You can just pay a flat fee and just have a wide access to everything. So like one of the interesting things about Netflix is that they have all the films from Egyptian filmmaker Yusuf Khahine, who if it wasn't for Netflix, I'd have to, use unethical or other means to go get it, but like it's all there at once, and I can, just watch everything in one sitting, which is quite unique.
Mm-hmm. Dylan?
Yeah, totally agree with what Tsogo and Sarah have said, and I think the great thing about Netflix and streaming sites for creatives, or like the creators of these programs, that you get creative freedom to make your content. It's normally what people say, I don't like using the word content, so to make your shows or your films. And that's because of the subscriber model versus the advertising model. That's one of the reasons, is that you don't have to sell spots to advertisers. The broadcaster doesn't have to think about, will this be appealing to our advertisers? Or if you're dealing with like a national broadcaster like we have in South Africa, the SABC, you have kind of these government created mandates that you have to follow. So in that sense, streaming also allows for more interesting stuff or slightly more subversive things. It can allow for those things for creators as well.
So in terms of maybe what's not so great, Dylan, you just mentioned you don't like the word content. So what's not so great about streaming, besides the fact that I think all of us have occasional spells of addiction? What is maybe a drawback of these new technologies?
I think I'd have to say, I think I'd have to say it is what Dylan mentioned in terms of, content, because I think the nature of content is that it's naturally about, mass production. So one of the things that disheartened me the most about, for example, Blood and Water, was that it's enticing enough to like capture the public imaginary for like, a month, but that's the entirety of it. And with Netflix's model is that like it's Blood and Water for this month, and then the next month is probably 30 Reasons Why, or Sex Education, or something else. And then after that will be another season of something else. So it's this whole rotating model. Yes, it's for niche markets, for example, like teen melodramas, but it's still, they have a rotating schedule. So it doesn't seem like they're, at least at this stage of Netflix's career, they are about making meaningful television and or cinema. It just means they are trying to cultivate like a recurring just production bout of the same thing to satisfy the taste. And each and every one of those products aren't meant to be in any way like impactful in any sense.
Yeah, I would echo Tsogo with that, and also add that, for example, like in Netflix original content, is marketed as being African produced content made for African audiences. But if you look into it, the African audiences are not getting those. Like Netflix in Senegal is showing American History X, Johnny Mad Dog, which was a French adaptation of Emmanuel Dongala's book. But then they're watching Fast and Furious. They're watching, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid. So
hey, I watched that with my son, so don't be too hard.
yeah, I mean, you want to watch these things, but the audience, it's interesting because, the marketing is a little bit misplaced or not quite getting there. So I would say that's an issue. Yeah, but we do have fun watching Karate Kid.
That's great. I'll just go ahead and say it. What about you, Dylan? What do you think?
Yeah, it's really, I think this stuff is really interesting. And also, in terms of what Tsogo is saying about kind of like what you find on there, like what's exciting sometimes is you can find stuff like for example, a friend had a short film that was on Showmax, which is like South Africa's localized version of Netflix, which is owned by MultiChoice, right? That's a whole other conversation we can have, right. Which we probably should have at some point, like in mass purchase and all that. But so this film was on there for a while, and I was really happy that, like, if I ever wanted to watch my friend's film, I could go to Showmax. And it's kind of like this archive that has it. And a few months later, it was just gone because their licensing agreement had like run out. So we kind of think about these things as these great repositories or archives of films that are important and culturally relevant. And like Tsogo was saying, sometimes they'll be there, but sometimes they'll just disappear, and we don't really have much of a control over how they operate, because a lot of these streaming sites, which I kind of like to think of them almost more like tech companies than broadcasters, they're kind of very mysterious about how they do things, and it's not always quite clear on how the processes work. So it often feels like you don't have that much power over what's going on behind the scenes. So that's also a downside, I would say.